Passengers on flight Aerolíneas Argentinas 8158 to Rome, Fiumicino. Please proceed urgently to gate number E61.
To fasten your seatbelt, place the metal tip into the buckle and tighten the strap so that it's low and tight across your lap. To release it, lift the top of the buckle. If the fasten seatbelt sign is off, we strongly recommend you keep your seatbelt fastened when seated. If the cabin pressure changes, the panels above your seat will open, revealing oxygen masks. Reach up, pull a mask towards you, place it over your nose and mouth, and secure it with the elastic band that can be used to adjust the mask. The plastic bag will not fully inflate, although oxygen is flowing. We ask you to secure your own mask first before helping others. Exits on the Boeing 737 are 4 doors, 2 on each side of the airplane, 2 window exits over the wings. Each door is equipped with a detachable slide.
香港国際空港に着陸いたしました。ただいまの時間は13時56分、午後1時56分でございます。
So did you, again, sorry to interrupt, but I'm just establishing a bit of context. Because of that, have you met some Egyptian people? Do you know some people there?
I don't, I have family there.
Okay.
I have family who are Palestinians, because many of the Palestinians in 1948 immigrated to Egypt,
yeah.
And I met wonderful people when I was there last year.
Okay, sorry, go ahead. So what are your thoughts? Where's it going
my
now?
reaction is of joy, and I'm very ecstatic to see a revolution take place in the Arab and Muslim world, because the truth is the entire region has been oppressed after World War II with the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, and I think it's due time that we are seeing a social revolution.
Where do you think, Kamal, again, you have more knowledge of this than I do, who do you think will emerge as head of state? What kind of new state will be there should Mubarak be toppled?
Well, I would wish of a socialist regime, or a democratic socialist regime like the revolutions we've seen in South America, in Bolivia and Venezuela. I think it will take time for a mature leader to develop, but I do agree with the general consensus that Dr. al-Baradi would be a reasonable interim leader. As you know, these things take time.
Do you think that Mubarak himself is now finished?
I have strong doubts, because in my opinion, the political leadership is going to be dictated by the military leadership, and as long as there's a strong alliance between the government and the military will stop any resistance.
Again, you were there last year. What do you think of the performance of the military so far? They seem to be neutral.
They do seem to be very well restrained, and I think there's a lot of Western pressure that is forcing this. But also, you have to appreciate the soldiers, the police, and the riot police in themselves are the general population, and there's a lot of local sympathy.
Okay. Well, Kamal, I appreciate your call to me, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you for bringing this to everyone's attention.
Thank you, sir, for calling us. 1-888-416-8333. Now we go to Sudbury, Ontario. It's Sarah Brown. Sarah, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I'd like your thoughts on those events in Egypt and where you think they're tending.
I think that this is the beginnings of overthrowing the Egyptian regime, which is great because I think he's a complete dictator and that he's been time and time again going against what his people think and what they want for their country. And I think the sooner they get rid of him, the better. And I completely disagree with one of your earlier callers saying that just because things are unstable, that that they should stay in stay with this regime. I think the fact that they're trying to get rid of him, yes, it's unstable now, but it's the beginnings of a better future.
And do you think it will have consequences beyond Egypt?
For sure. I think that a few days ago I was reading that the Yemen people were out in the streets protesting their government for the same things. I think they just want better for their people. They want better employment rates. They want what every society wants for their people. They want better health. They want better education. They just want a better life.
Last point, Sarah. Do you think this will determine itself in the next couple of days, or is it something that we're likely to have to watch for a while?
I think this is something that we're going to be watching for a while, but I'd really like to say that no matter how long it takes, what they're doing is completely worth it. There were many people before I don't think this is something that you can live a happy life in this type of country where people are being imprisoned for what they think all the time. And right now there's 150 people killed, 4,000 injured, and 500 missing. The fact that people are willing to die for this cause, I think it should tell the world that they believe that all this sacrifice is worth it.
Okay.
That it's no. I don't agree with the United States interfering all the time, and the fact that they're being ambiguous tells us something too. I think the fact that they're being ambiguous means that they don't really support the people and where they should be supporting them, and that they should completely stay out of Egypt's affairs and the Middle East altogether, because all they've done is provide weapons to Hosni Mubarak and his government, and all the military's weapons are coming from the U.S. under the table, and the fact that they're using it against people is irreprehensible. I think it's disgusting.
Okay. Well, Sarah, I appreciate your call, and thanks very much.
I have one more thing to say, though, please. I think that the fact that things are changing in the Middle East, there's a lot of push against that, especially from the United States and Israel. And I'm looking forward to seeing the Middle East prosper from this overthrow of this dictatorship, and I hope that the rest of the Middle East can learn from this lesson and that they can also get rid of their dictators.
Okay, Sarah, I appreciate your call.
Thank you.
1-888-416-8333. The events in Egypt have occupied the news almost relentlessly for the last 3 or 4 days. As people point out, history is being made there. They are events of great consequence, both for the country itself, for the immediate environs of the Middle East, for the world economy. We've already seen some tumult in the various markets of the world because of the unresolved events that are still going on in Egypt. We'd like your thoughts. What's your response or your consideration, your reflections on the events in Egypt? 1-888-416-8333. And to elaborate some potential as to where this is going or where it may go, where it might go, joining me now from Kingston, Ontario, is Hushang Hassanyari, who is the head of Politics and Economics Department and Professor of International Relations at the Royal Military College of Canada. Professor Hassanyari, welcome back to Cross Country Checkup.
Thank you very much, Mr. Murphy, for having me. Just a correction, I finished to be the head of the department.
That's their loss, sir. That's their loss. And we will write them an appropriate letter later.
Sure.
I'd like first, just at the most general level, because you are an informed human being, tell me what you think of the events that you've been listening to and reading about and watching for the last 3 or 4 days.
I think what we are witnessing these days is accumulation of many decades of humiliation, of repression, frustration of an entire population. So now this is the time, I believe, the Egyptians came to the conclusion that they have to change the situation, and they are in the process of doing it.
Do you agree with what seems to be the general sentiment that the trigger was Tunisia, or is there something else here that we're not paying attention to?
Tunisia was important, but it was not really the whole thing. If we go back to the history of Egypt itself, after the Second World War, the coup d'etat put an end to the monarchy in that country. The military took over, Nasser and his colleagues. They ruled over the country for a few decades. Then, too, after the 1967 war with Israel and the defeat of them, they had to pass the hat to the others. So Sadat came about, and when he reached peace agreement with the Israelis, he was assassinated in 1981. And since then we have Mubarak. During the time that Mubarak was in charge, we saw a number of very important events, protests against the regime, a lot of repression, not only against the secular, but also against the Islamic movements and so forth. So, for example, more recently, in 2005, 5 and 6, there was a lot of protests against the regime, and the regime successfully could put an end to those protests. The difference between the situation now that we are witnessing and in the past is coming from the fact that in the past different groups like journalists, workers and so forth used to strike, used to protest individually against the regime. And now we have participating, everybody's participating, and then this is the reason why there is a better opportunity for the Egyptians this time, I believe, to change the entire system.
Hushan, can I ask you what you think of the American posture so far, particularly President Obama's statement? It seemed, at least to my reading of it, he certainly didn't want to endorse what was going on in the streets. Neither did he endorse President Mubarak. Is he wrong in not giving a more overt declaration of support for what is a popular movement?
I think the Obama's administration position posturing here is confused, really. At some point, Ms. Clinton was talking about the fact that this regime is going to continue. Then Obama took somehow a more distinct position, asking the regime, the Mubarak's regime, to respect the will of people, human rights, and so forth. They are a few miles behind the Egyptians. Obviously, they cannot endorse publicly the people movement for a number of reasons. One of them is because if they do that, then they will create a precedent in the region, because this is a very friendly regime to the Americans. The Americans need them, and also we should not forget just the other side of the region. You have Saudi Arabia, very close ally to the Americans, Jordan, and other countries. So Americans technically cannot do that, but I believe now gradually they get to the point that they realize the Mubarak regime is almost finished, and they have to turn the page and a new chapter with the Egyptians and the region.
That leads to the next question. With your background, the demonstrations are described as unorganized, but we do know that anything that lasts for this time will start to accumulate. Either spot leaders or some particular dynamic will be fashioned by the most energetic. Who do you think now is in a position to take over? Should Mubarak leave?
this is the kind of myth here. We believe that there is no leadership, people cannot organize themselves and so forth. So we saw the example of Tunisia, we see now in Egypt. Egypt, contrary to many countries in the region, as you know, is a very, very old country, very well organized actually. And despite the repression and under the leadership of President Mubarak in the past few decades, the Egyptians could survive. And there are some weakened, obviously, the parties, but nevertheless they exist. So you have really kind of foundation on which you can build. Whatever is going to happen, there will be a transition government, and I think that transition government will try to create a very conducive environment for a permanent power to get root and then more stability in that region.
Would you, I don't know it, would you suggest that Egypt is about to enter a period of democracy, or would there be another state government, at least tacitly condoned by the army? What is the more likely outcome?
It's extremely difficult, obviously, to see the future, but what we see these days and how the army behaves, I'm more positive in Egypt and, let's say, Yemen, because the army since the 1973 war against Israelis, they became more receptive by the population, more positive. People look at them, and I think they are going to see themselves as a positive force in the country and not negative. So whatever is going to happen, we will see a more democratic movement and government.
Very last question. I'm sorry to keep you so long, but it's again such a large topic. What would you say are, and I'll have to keep it concise, what are the implications for the Middle East and in particular relations with Israel?
I don't expect really any huge difference in terms of treatment of the Israelis. Probably the future government is going to be more demanding of Americans and the Israelis in the context of the Palestinian issue, because that question is of a lot of concerns for the Egyptians and others. But in terms of peace treaty, I think it's going to survive the situation, because ultimately the future government has a lot of problems internally, and they are going to be preoccupied by internal problems, and ultimately they need really to work with the Israelis, with the Americans, and also with the others.
Professor, I took you beyond our time, but I thank you very much for your patience.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, sir.
You too. Bye-bye.
Hushang Hassan Yari was head of the Politics and Economics Department, but he is Professor of International Relations at Royal Military College of Canada. This is Cross Country Checkup on 888-416-8333, and a very patient Tamer Mahdi in Toronto. Tamer, welcome to the program.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well, sir. What are your thoughts on the events in Egypt?
Well, I want to talk about two things. First, I've been glued to the different TV channels for the last 3 days, and also calling my family over there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, several times.